أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وعلى أصحابه المنتجبين وعلى جميع الأنبياء والمرسلين. قال الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, all praise is due to our Creator, our Cherisher, our Nourisher, and our Sustainer. We bear witness there's none worthy of worship but Allah. We bear witness, we believe in all the prophets who came throughout history. And we bear witness that Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, is the final of all the emissaries of Allah. Respected ulama, hufaz, qurra, elders, brothers and sisters, respected youth, I greet you with the Islamic universal greeting of peace. May the peace, the mercy of Allah be upon each and everyone present here at this auspicious hour of Jum'ah, in this sacred space of the Masjid al-Quds here in Cape Town, South Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Tuesday, 24th September was a public holiday in our country. And it is declared as a National Heritage Day. A day on which South Africans celebrate the nation's diversity and also the spirit of Ubuntu, or compassion of humanity, or compassionate humanity towards each other. And this concept is enshrined in the Golden Rule, which is a universal principle, mind you, but captured so aptly in the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who said, in a hadith documented in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he said, لا يبلغ عبد حقيقة الإيمان حتى يحب للناس ما يحب لنفسه من الخير. He said, the servant of Allah will not reach the reality of faith until that person loves for others the good which he or she loves for himself or herself. So when we speak of heritage, we imply by the full range of our history, our inherited traditions as a collective, our monuments, our culture, elements of who we are and how we identify ourselves. It creates a common sense of identity, and it ensures and assures also a degree of continuity of that community. And therefore, heritage as such should serve as a means of reflection. It is a means for us to reflect on our memories, our experiences of our past and our present, as we contemplate engaging the future. What of our past is worth saving? What can we improve from what we have done or learned thus far? And what should we never forget? Heritage, I believe, therefore, is an essential part of the present that we live in, and it is crucial to the future that we wish to build. So National Heritage Day is in actual fact dedicated to recognizing the shared experience of the nation, remembering the difficulties and hardships of the past, sharing in the victories and the losses of the present, deliberating the challenges of our times, and perchance raising hope for the future. And our unique experience as South Africans do not separate us from the reality of the larger world, neither from our ummah nor from our common humanity, but rather, as a people of faith, people of Iman, it motivates us to learn from each other's experiences and to mutually assist in ensuring a better world for all. It is very crucial for us to realize we must neither have a frog pond mentality, and by that I mean people thinking that our community is all that we are concerned about, and limit ourselves to our own self-interests. Nor should we have an ostrich mentality, avoiding looking at the reality by hiding your face low down close to the sand, closing our eyes and refusing to engage the reality that does not change reality if we close our eyes to it. So as part of the human family, we must realize that the world is larger than our little communities, larger than even the Muslims' sphere of influence. And therefore, let's not blind ourselves ever to the greater realities, because what affects others also affects us. What impact we can make on others is what begins in the impact we make among ourselves. We experience apartheid, and our experience should make us more sympathetic of all those people who are experiencing apartheid. And that common experience should evoke in each of us an activism to free all of the people who are experiencing apartheid, and even more so if people are experiencing ethnic cleansing, whoever they may be or wherever they are. This is perhaps one of the primary reasons why we as South Africans, despite our many shortcomings, are so empathetic and most vociferous in our country, in particular, against the ongoing genocide in Palestine. If heritage is what a community, a nation, or a people inherit and transmit from its historic past, and perchance wish to continue and perpetuate and pass on to future generations, then in this very week, this week of Heritage Day, in this very week, we commemorated on last Sunday 230 years of the Awwal Masjid, where Tuan Guru was the first Imam, Qadi Abdul Salam. By the way, on a land donated by a progeny of slaves, Sarki van de Kaap. Today is 55 years ago that the Shaheed Imam Abdullah Haroon gave his life in the cause of truth and justice and died in the prison cells of the apartheid regime in our country. These are among the noble, outstanding, exemplary Muslims who contributed tremendously to the collective heritage of this land. Both were Muslim, but their impact was not only on the Muslim people. Tuan Guru, Qadi Abdul Salam, rahmatullahi alayhi, was a man who spent 2 stints on the infamous Robben Island around the 1780s. A political exile, a revolutionary prisoner of conscience. A man who wrote the Quran from memory while incarcerated on Robben Island. More than one copy, by the way. A man who composed classical texts like the Ma'arif al-Islam wal-Imani that kept Islam and the knowledge of Islam and the practice of our faith alive among the people for 100 years, that was used as a textbook. A man who established the first non-racial school in the land. A man who was involved in the establishment of the first masjid, the first mosque at the southern tip of Africa. A man who served as an imam of that Awwal mosque, which continues to be operational to the present day in the Bukaab, a mosque in which the Quran, which he wrote from memory, is still extant and still found available up till today. Tuan Guru was a Hafiz al-Quran, one who preserved the Quran in his memory, an alim, a learned scholar in faith, an imam, a religious leader. He was much more than that. He also was a hadi, a spiritual guide. He was a da'i, a propagator of the faith. He was a muallim who was a teacher. He was a muhajir who left his land to come here. And he was a mujahid, a revolutionary fighter for justice. Imam Abdullah Haroon, who some of us have met, 55 years ago today, exactly today that he passed on, was Hafiz al-Quran and alim, an imam, a za'im al-mujtami'. He was a community leader. He was also a da'i and a propagator of Islam, a muallim, and specifically Tamkeen al-Shabab. He was the one who empowered the youth. He was a Maharib al-Hurriya, he was a freedom fighter, and also eventually a shaheed, a martyr in the cause of truth and justice and for the freedom of the oppressed people. From Shaykh Yusuf of Makassar, through Tuanguru and many others, to Imam Abdullah Haroon, these are people who imbibed the values of Ihsan, who manifested Ihsan, who reflected Ubuntu, who gave their lives and sacrificed what they had for the well-being and the rights of other people. How apt the words of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam documented in the Shu'b al-Iman of Imam al-Bayhaqi, where Rasulullah said, يَحْمِلُ هَذَا الْعِلْمِ مِنْ كُلِّ خَلَفٍ عُدُولُهُ. He said, the knowledge is inherited in every generation by those who are most just. What made people like Tuanguru and Imam Haroon different from others? Why was Imam Haroon involved in political activism, fighting for justice, while others remained silent? Like many of our Muslim leaders in the world, political leaders in particular, people in senior government positions in many parts of the Muslim world, absolutely silent. Because they didn't have the spirit of people like Tuanguru and Imam Abdullah Haroon. This is a very significant question, because if there were more leaders like Imam Haroon and Tuanguru, we may not have been in the compromised position that we find ourselves today globally. Why was Imam Haroon not fooled by what fooled those around him? These questions are pertinent, especially as we look at the global situation, and more particularly at the ongoing genocide in Palestine, and of course, the expanding Zionist aggression in that part of the world. And we must be conscious of the fact that the neo-colonial project is a continuation of the old imperialist colonist agenda. The system that Tuanguru fought was the same mentality that Imam Haroon opposed, and that very same mentality and agenda is now what we have to contend with. Just give me an example. We are always lectured about freedom and democracy, and others want to define it for us. Those who stole our land, murdered our people. The UN introduced a bill on 31st of December 2020 for global action against racism and discrimination. For a bill for global action against racism and discrimination, 31st December 2020. 193 members were voting. 100 countries voted in favor of global action against racism and discrimination. Most European countries voted no or abstained. And the countries, USA, UK, Australia, Canada, Israel, France, Germany, Netherlands, most of these were colonialists before and some are colonialists now, they voted against it. On a bill regarding what? Not about Palestine or anything else, against racism and discrimination. England, France, Belgium, Portugal, Netherlands, Germany, who colonized our land in Africa and the Far East, promoters of democracy, openly displaying the hypocrisy, same countries who are arming the Zionists to the teeth. This is the real world we live in. And unless we are conscious of the machinations and plans and plotting, we will remain victims of the imperialistic agendas. The Palestinian genocide and the rise of blatant pro-Zionism has exposed the divide between Western so-called white supremacy and the once colonized world. Last week, Tuesday afternoon, the unthinkable happened. As hundreds of Lebanese reached for their pages, suddenly these mobile devices became a hostile entity and self-destructed. People found themselves disconnected, trapped in a world where their digital companion had become the deadly enemy. The method of this barbaric attack was unprecedented, as it was cowardly and diabolical, where personal handheld communication devices were deliberately detonated, resulting in the loss of 9 lives and over 3,000 people injured. Some people lost their limbs and many lost their sight. Can you imagine if this was done by a Muslim person? Can you imagine if any Muslim organization was behind this? The outcry would have been tremendous. They wouldn't allow you on the plane with a cell phone anymore. Nothing happened. Everything went normal. Nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. Just imagine if it was a Muslim who did this, or a Muslim organization, whoever. Can you imagine the reaction? So, we must be conscious of the fact that this neo-colonial project is still a continuation of the old imperialistic agenda. And the imperialist plan is still the racist, self-serving agenda of years gone by. Create chaos, if not invade or subvert, rob, leave with the wealth of the conquered lands, and leave the people divided. And then keep your proxies, or bring lackeys in power to further the imperialist colonial agenda. Arm them to the teeth to fight each other, but never fighting those who robbed and impoverished them in the first place. And then enriching a select few, make you king, make you khalif, make you something, put you in power, each one there. And have paid ulama, paid clergy to legitimize the oppressors of these powers. Clergy who denigrate those who oppose the corrupt authorities. Questioning the faith of those who stand for justice. Excommunicating people who are freedom fighters. And casting doubt and suspicion in the minds of the masses. Such political leaders, I repeat, such political leaders and such clergy who sow such seeds of discord and confusion, they are indeed the opium of the masses. If we look at the political situation at present, particularly here at the Cape, an area that was at the forefront of the freedom struggle against colonialist apartheid, it is so obvious if we look around ourselves and those who are in key positions right now that the imperialist scheme is fully at play. In recalibrating, in reorganizing the entire political power structure in this part of the world and attempting to further Western agendas that do not serve the best interest of the people of this land. We have to awaken to this reality and be conscious of what is happening. Because greater consciousness of this reality among our religious and political leaders would evoke a greater consciousness among the people. And with such consciousness, we people of Africa, and additionally for those of us who are Muslim, we as an ummah would not sit back as most people are now, watching atrocities being perpetrated against innocent people and nobody moves a hand. So to answer the question, what made people like Tuan Guru or Imam Haroon different from those around them? You see, Imam Haroon was conscious of the reality around him, aware of the nefarious plans of the racist supremacists of his time, conscious of the larger scheme of things, and he courageously responded to that reality with a passion and a desire to make a difference by being an agent for justice, even at the cost of his life. We must be aware of the crimes that go unchecked, pleas that go unheard, deaths that go unnoticed, murders that go unavenged, whether they talk India or China, Kashmir, in many parts of the world. Crimes go unchecked, pleas go unheard, deaths go unnoticed, murders go unavenged, bodies that remain unrecovered, prejudice continues unchecked, and genocide continues unabated. Our history and our heritage is the accumulation of deeds and lives of people, Every day is a page in the life of our book. And every day we can learn something valuable and do something meaningful. Depending on whether we learn from what we see in the book of our life or whether we merely turn the page. But don't forget, on the day of Qiyamah, a book will be given to you. Not only what you did, what you could have done and didn't do. If we are indifferent, my beloved elders, brothers and sisters, if we are indifferent to the realities of the world around us, then we have chosen to be irrelevant to the world ourselves. Allama Iqbal said in his poem, Aaj aur Kal, he says, वो कल के गमो ऐश पे कुछ हक नहीं रखता, जो आज खुद अफरोज जिगर सोज नहीं है, वो कौम नहीं लायक हंगामा फरदा, जिस कौम की तकदीर में अमरोज नहीं है. He says, no claim to joys and sadness of tomorrow. In other words, you have no claim to the future. That person who has no earnest desire at present to be engaged in the reality and an urgency to do something. That nation is not worthy, talking of Heritage Day, that nation is not worthy of attention if their destiny is not linked to the engagement in issues affecting the world. Our consciousness of this reality, which Allama Iqbal reminds us in Darb-e Kalim, in the poem of Aaj aur Kal, should commit us to the injunction of the Quran. وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Cooperate with whoever you're part of the human family on the basis of that which brings about righteousness, goodness, and piety. Do not cooperate, whether it was Muslim or non-Muslim, on the basis of that which leads to evil and corruption and wrongfulness. You see, there are many people who are good in the world. But very often we complain there are not enough good people in the world. The Arabs have a saying, هناك العديد من الأشخاص الطيبين في العالم إذا لم تجد شخصا صالحا كن شخصا صالحا. He said, there are many good people in the world. If you can't find a good person, why aren't you the good person? I leave you with the advice of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, hadith documented by Ibn Majah and in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Rasulullah said, المؤمن الذي يخالط الناس ويصبر على أذاهم أعظم أجرا من الذي لا يخالط الناس ولا يصبر على أذاهم. A believer who interacts with people and patiently endures the trials and tribulations of social engagement is better and more rewarded. Is more rewarded, to take the words of the hadith, is more rewarded than the one who abstains from social life in which he does not exercise such patience. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant that the memory, the legacy, and the heritage of people like Qadi Abdul Salam, Shaykh Yusuf, Imam Abdullah Haroon ever remain alive. And may we be a generation of people who pass it on to the next generation. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله.